Hey, welcome to the show, big brother.
Well, thank you. Good to see you.
This
Haven't
is
seen
going to
you for
be
a
an
while.
awesome show. I have so many fun things to talk about tonight. Most people that have been watching the show kind of know the normal themes of the show can get pretty dark and sometimes depressing, and we talk about a lot of things that typically people don't like talking about. But tonight,
Yeah.
I want to spend a lot of time on music because that's what you do, and
Yep.
I'm just I know the answers to a lot of the questions I'm going to ask, but for the people that don't know a lot about you, you are my older brother. I'm 55, so how old are you?
61. She turned 61 in end of January.
And then Scott is what age wise? Is he
58.
59?
50. Well, I'd be
58?
58. Yeah.
Okay,
He's
and then Dan is 1 year younger than me, so Dan turns 54 in June, I think. So
Yep.
yeah, so we grew up, four of us. I probably explains why mom and dad probably are a
Well,
little
well, I mean,
having four of us. I'm surprised they aren't in the loony bin.
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah. Especially mom. But I mean, if there's a reason that we all are pranksters with each other, then you would look no further than our dad. You
yeah,
know.
I would agree with that. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. I just remember all we did growing up. We slept with one eye open. We scared each other constantly. Anyone watching this that has
Oh yeah.
siblings, I mean,
Yeah.
we never really had any issues with I had three brothers, so there's four of us total, but it's like, but we just constantly were always on each other, constant pranks. And we grew up in Iowa City on a street called Downey Drive. And, it was
Yeah.
just, here comes the Johnston boys. And then you had Chris Dorman, who I've
Yeah.
hooked up with the Dormans later on here recently and got to
Yeah.
catch up with them, and they're doing well. But
That's awesome.
um, yeah, it's crazy. So let's talk a little bit about back in Iowa City days, because I remember, you got into music at what age did you first get into playing guitar?
Well, I mean, I remember the people next door. They had an older kid over there that had a guitar, electric guitar, and he was playing "Light My Fire" by the Doors. I remember
Oh
thinking, wow,
yeah,
And he handed me the guitar, and I played it backwards. The first time I ever picked it up. And he was laughing. He goes, "Nah, it's backwards," and so that was my first. But I guess I would have been, I guess, about 12 because. That's when I got the first guitar, and there was a band that used to practice about a block over from us. They used to practice downstairs, and you could hear them. And so I would follow the music over there, and I could look in a little window well thing, and I could see them down there playing songs, and I would listen to them, and so then and I have to say that mom and dad were just amazingly encouraging
hmm
of it. I mean, gosh, I mean, I remember, well, of course, mom's mom, Nita Lorenzen, was a brilliant pianist and
oh
vocalist
yeah,
and
yep.
amazing. And mom and dad are both very musical. And, we used to sit around and I'd plug in my amp back in Downey Drive and plug the amp in and a microphone into the amp. And dad would have the trumpet out and he'd be sitting in the living room and we'd have a songbook out, and I would play the chords and he would sing or play the trumpet. And, I had in the living room down there and just, a lot of nights doing that. And we had the piano there. Mom, played piano and stuff. So, and mom used to, gosh, the first time I got in a band, she, would help us load all our stuff into the station
Hmm.
wagon.
Like a
Uh,
roadie, huh?
Guitars, amps, and mom helping us load all the stuff in the station wagon. Then we'd go off to Central High School or Horace Mann Elementary or something, and we'd go up and they'd set aside 45 minutes and we'd set up in the little auditorium or the cafeteria and they'd troop all the kids in. They'd all sit on the floor and we'd play, Cream and Hendrix and
The earliest vision I have of you is with Desert Water.
yeah, that was the band.
Um,
Yeah,
and I remember the ZZ Top song Tush.
yeah.
And for some reason, that's like the first song I remember. Now, what year was that in?
Well, I would have been probably ninth grade because I was at Southeast and all those other guys were at Central High or Junior High, and so we used to get together and practice at Rich Patterson's house. They had a music studio out and back, and we would practice back there, and then we'd set up little concerts at all the schools, and we'd go around and play. I remember the first thing we ever played was like a ladies club, some kind of ladies club, and we played "Let's Spend the Night Together" by the Rolling Stones, and there was hushed comments and much consternation. We were, but we didn't know. We just liked the song, and the chords were cool. We didn't think about the implications of the lyrics,
I remember in what class was like third grade, because we moved to Solon in fifth grade, and I had to bring.
I was in 10th, yeah.
Okay, and I had to bring a song in to music class or something, and I came to you as older brother to get some guidance and some leadership. You were kind of my role model, Steve. Which obviously, in hindsight, that was a horrible decision. So I take the music in. It was an LP, whatever they call those things now. The actual disc. I don't even the record album, and it's sung by Queen. So I'm thinking no big deal. And she gets up there and turns it in, plays it in. And here's what you picked for me to play in front of my third. Yeah, take a guess.
Fat Bottom Girls.
Close. Tie Your Mother Down.
Oh God.
Exactly. That was the song you picked. I know it's a great song, but not third grade music class. My teacher's like playing it, going, turns it over. Okay, that's how about we play Bohemian Rhapsody or something? It's like, Steve, Tie Your Mother Down by Queen in third grade. You had some evil design there.
No.
So something about music. I mean, you are obviously I'm biased, but I've heard the word savant used many times with you and your music talents. I mean, you just have an unbelievable ear, I guess, for guitar. Some people have it for drumming. Some people have it for singing. I have no musical ear other than I love heavy metal. I mean, you can see. We're going to talk about some different bands tonight, but I grew up just loving heavy metal. I'll talk about me in a little bit, but so when you got into music and stuff, I'm just kind of curious on what was the big. A lot of people get into it, and then they kind of move on to other things. But I remember coming home from basketball because that was my love, and you'd be down in your room just playing on your amp by yourself. I mean, what was it about music that just touched your soul? I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean. I always, Mom used to play classical music for us when we were little a lot. So, when you listen to a lot of stuff like that, you're, at that age, your brain is taking that stuff in, and so, and then, of course, we were always listening, how Dad is, and Mom, they listen to music all the time. And, so then, and I picked it up real easily. So I think that was a lot of it too. I mean, as soon as I played trumpet first, actually. I
remember that because so did Dan.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that was okay, but I didn't like the songs that I didn't go home and listen to the march in B flat or anything like that. Well,
and I would assume most teenage girls in the 70s weren't going to watch trumpet players. Right. I mean, right. I mean, it's common sense, I would think.
I did that, and it was fine. But then as soon as I picked up the guitar, it just came very easy. I picked it up real quick and real easy. And anytime that happens, it's always going to be more fun. When it's
Desert Water was that considered your first band then?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What were the other bands of memory that you can think of?
Well, I mean, there was nobody at Southeast Junior High that really was doing that, and so I heard about the other guys, so we got together and did that, and then, of course, then it kind of turned into when we moved out to Solon. That's when I met Tim Looney, Scott Werner, and we started Voyager.
I remember Voyager.
Ace first, the 3-piece, of course, because that was when Rush was out, and of course we were beyond obsessed with Rush, so we were a 3-piece. Then we did Voyager, with Ron Dearborn and James
Yeah.
Richards and Darwin Hartle from Mount Vernon.
I remember that. Yeah.
Good band, and a lot of great songs. We did Tie Your Mother Down.
You had some good originals. You had some good originals too.
We did. Yeah,
I
we
do.
had one called Lost and Lonely that got played on KRNA a fair amount.
Yep.
I have a recording, actually. The only recording I have of that song is off KRNA, and at the end of the song, it hits this big note, and the guy goes, Voyager, and the other DJ goes, that was intense. I like that. It was cool.
I may have to get a copy of it. Maybe we can put it on the show here at the end or something.
Yeah. The sound quality, it's old, reel to reel. Not
Oh, yeah.
And then we did another one called The Final Battle that was on what was called First Flight. It was an album of Iowa bands that was done up in Cedar Rapids.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it had about Craig Erickson was on there, who's a pretty prominent blues player, killer blues player from Cedar Rapids, and he's kind of national now, I think. And I can't remember who else, but that was pretty cool. We got on that album, got to do that, and most of that we were still just kind of learning how to do things and how to perform and how to kind of put it all together. And the hardest thing is finding people you can get along with.
Yeah.
Really, especially at that age.
The life expectancy of a band is probably pretty short.
Especially at that age. Yeah.
So I remember a lot when you toured with Scott. I thought you guys.
That's another thing. Scott and I used to play a lot in grade school. We used to do a lot in the school musicals and just assemblies and stuff. We do.
I thought you guys would be the next Van Halen, man. You guys, it was awesome.
If we could have found a front man, we probably.
Well, I'm not bad, Steve.
You were just too busy.
Yeah, and plus I suck. But no, Scott's damn good. Oh, I know. You two together were just ridiculous. What was the name of the band you guys played around with? That I think it was a female.
That was
singer.
Abraham Rush.
Yeah,
that was Abraham Rush. Yeah, that's after I'd moved to Kentucky, to Louisville, Kentucky. Played with a band there called Midnight Special, which was the first actual real band I ever played in.
Yeah.
In fact, it was so funny. This is how full of yourself you are when you're 21 years old. I told people all over Iowa City that I had that gig before I even went to Louisville and auditioned. I remember there was a band from Louisville that had come through and they were playing at Maxwell's, which was an old rock club in Iowa City.
Yeah.
I told they were from Louisville, and I said, yeah, I'm going to be playing guitar with Midnight Special. And they go, oh, yeah, we heard they were looking for a guitar player and having these big auditions. Congratulations.
No pressure.
and I literally moved. When I moved from Mom and Dad's house, I packed up all my stuff and moved to Louisville just to audition for that band.
And you got it.
Not even knowing if I would get it or not. I just figured I would. I mean, that's why I say when you're 21, it's like, well, of course I'll go down there and get the audition, and then I'll get an apartment. And so I got down there, and turns out I hadn't done my planning because they were leaving for Florida for 2 weeks the next day.
Mm.
And I had just moved down there. And so they said, well, to make you a deal, if you want to drive our truck and road crew for us for 2 weeks, when you get back, you can be in the auditions. We're having like a big mass audition with 50 guys at the big club there. So I went to Louisville, drove the truck halfway to Florida and back, and just stood on the side and tuned guitars basically for the band. In the process, which I learned the whole set, which was not fair at all. Because if I get to stand there for 2 weeks,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
So we got back, and they had this big audition, and of course I was up there tuning all the guitars, and these guys that were auditioning were coming up, hey, can you tune my guitar, and make it snappy? And I was like, tune them up.
Little did they know.
But then they go to the audition and they go, we might as well just knock Steve out first. And so I went out and played about half the set. And they took a break and they went in the back and they came out and they said, thank you. And somebody stole my jacket on the way out, my members only jacket, or one of those 80s jackets, whatever they call it.
Members only. I had one too.
Yeah, right. Somebody stole it. One of the guitar players stole it. Yeah. Nobody got to audition.
So you got it right there on the spot.
Yeah.
It sounds like that scene in Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg when he comes in and obviously that's Tim Ripper Owens. That's who he's kind of playing in the movie because of Judas Priest.
Sure.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, it's awesome. And then when he comes in and sings that song and they're all sitting back there and he just kills it. First he's nervous,
Right.
And then he gets in. I mean, I got goosebumps. I can remember that scene. And they're just sitting back there going, you got the gig, and it's like, and that was God, what was the name of the band in the movie?
Oh,
Steel Dragon. Yeah. I mean, it's just such an awesome movie because I'm a huge Ripper Owens fan, and that's how Ripper got into Judas Priest, basically. Right. And I still follow Ripper. Matter of fact, Ripper on Twitter's liked a couple comments I made, and I'm like, I've made it.
Oh, that's so funny.
I mean, Ripper Owens is like, if I could get him on the show, I'd give up a limb. I mean, not that you're a cupcake, Steve. But, Steve Johnston or Ripper Owens? I'll take Steve-O. But no, that was kind of my indoctrination to music was through you and Scott.
Sure.
And I got to bring home like Metal Church the first time. It's like. Yeah. Oh my! Matter of fact, on my wall back here, you can see that's a Metal Church signed lobby card, Steve, at Gabe's in Iowa City. It's my podcast. I can say what I want, but I shit you not. Gabe's. They were playing on the way to Chicago to release their album. I think it's called 10. I'm not sure, but and they stopped at Gabe's. And I told Brock, this is like 3 years ago. And I told Brock, I go,
really?
I go, yeah. And they got Mike Howe back now, and the lead singer, and not the original one because he died. But anyway, so I go to Gabe's and there's like 200 people, and I'm like, you're kidding me, because none of the college kids knew who Metal Church was, And I'm like, oh my God! So we were like 10 feet from Metal Church for 2 hours, and I'm like. Again, I'm ready to go. This is like a private birthday party with Metal Church, and Mike Howe's up there singing Beyond the Black, and it's like the dark, and it's like, oh my, this is just unbelievable. And then that next year, then I went and saw Judas Priest with Brock in Milwaukee, and Halford just looked awesome and sounded great. Yeah. And then I saw Iron Maiden in Chicago. Bruce Dickinson is...
What a year.
Yeah, well, it gets better. I saw King Diamond then in Minneapolis.
And you had the...
And Merciful... I'm a massive King Diamond fan, and so I thought, well, King, he's that... I don't know what you call the hell his voice does, but there's a term for it. It's insane. I go, there's no way he can still be singing that, at this age. And oh my, Steve, King Diamond was... He was unbelievable.
That's
unbelievable.
Good to see. Because a lot of those guys haven't held up as well, but some of them sure have, boy. Halford, the same way. He still sounds incredible. Bruce.
Yeah, I think a lot of those guys, gave up the wildlife.
Oh, yeah.
In their 30s or 40s. And, I know Dickinson doesn't drink. And, I think a lot of these guys realize that, hey, if I want to make this a really big deal, I need to take care of myself better.
Absolutely.
So what's the greatest concert you've ever seen?
Oh, I mean, that would be impossible. If I had to narrow it down to 5, I mean, I could joke and say that 4 of them were Rush, but
well, you only saw Rush 19 times?
19, yeah. So one of those would certainly be in there. Queen with Freddie.
Oh my God, that
possibly
kills me.
The top.
I saw you have the ticket you posted on Facebook.
I think Tim Looney and Bill Supple and Chris Van Dyne.
Oh my
God, Des Moines, at Veterans in Des Moines Freddie. Yeah, it was.
that'd be the best ever. I don't know what'd be any better
Yeah,
than that.
yeah. Saw the Stones at Busch Stadium, but we were clear up so far that they could have been imposters, and I wouldn't have known. They were so far away. Um, you know, I've seen a lot of amazing things like Alan Holdsworth live at the Crow's Nest was probably with Scott. You remember the Crow's Nest in Iowa City,
Yeah.
a
Yep.
little
Yep.
bar. He came
Yeah.
through from England. He's the greatest guitar player, arguably, ever to walk the face of the earth. And he came into
Hmm.
the Crow's Nest, and Scott and I went, and same kind of deal. There was 8 people in there.
It's so funny you mentioned that because
Oh my gosh!
when you talk to non-musicians like me, and you
Yeah,
say the greatest guitarists, we shoot off names, and I used to be, we used to go up, well, we still do, go up to our fishing trip every year, our
sure,
FLA trip, and I always say, what's the greatest guitarist, Steve? And you name like 4 guys I never heard of,
right.
and Holdsworth, and who are the other guys you say that are the
Eric
Mount
Johnston,
Rushmore?
and
Yeah, Eric
guys.
Johnson.
You know, the problem with that guitar is that it's not a competition, so there is no clear winner.
Right.
Like if somebody says who's the greatest basketball player, they're going to say X, or just one or two people,
Yeah.
or something like that. But with guitar, it's very subjective, and so most of the truly greatest, most freakish players are not known because their stuff is pretty inaccessible. Like when most of my people I know listen to Holdsworth, they say it just kind of sounds like noise.
Hmm.
Because it's very what they call atonal and just weird. Unless you're
Hmm.
a guitar nerd, and then it's amazing. Is the best way I could put it.
What would you say is the best attribute? I mean, if you're a young person, what's the number one thing to have as a guitarist? Someone young thinking about coming into guitar, what would be the number one thing to have?
Well, I mean, you know, I would say it's probably good to listen to guitar music. But even if you didn't, if you had enough natural ability and you just picked up the guitar, you'd figure it out pretty quick. I have some students that have lots of natural ability and no motivation to
Yeah.
get good and actually sit down and practice something 500 times, literally 500 times. And I have other ones that have very little natural ability but sit and practice it 500 times.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I mean, I would say the most important thing is just the real fire to be good at it, because it's hard to play. It's kind of hard to play.
Now you were self-taught, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I had one teacher, the first teacher I had ever at West Music when I was about 14. It was Marty Jorgensen. I
Jeez,
still
you
remember
still
his
remember
name.
him.
But he was a college student at Iowa, and he knew he was about a week ahead of me. And so
And you passed him quickly, I would assume.
it was hysterical. Well, I came in one time and I wanted to know how he played this solo in Hot Legs by Rod or something, some song that was out. It couldn't have been that because it wasn't out then. But anyway, he goes, "Oh, I have no idea how he's doing that." So I went home and figured it out. And I came back the next week and he was like writing something down, and I played it. And he goes, "Wait, what was that?" And I go, "Oh, that's that one solo from last week." And he goes, "Show that to me." So I
Oh
showed it to
my.
him. And we got in the car, and Dad said, "So what'd you guys do today?" And I said, "Oh, I showed him the solo from something." So we went to this other store and signed up with another teacher named Elias Petru. Somehow I remember his name too. And he could actually play pretty good. Took from him for maybe about a year. My first teacher actually was Bob Stodola. He taught me like a few classical things. I only took maybe about 4 lessons from him. And that was all I took. I took maybe for about a year and a half, 2 years, probably. And then after that, I was just, anything I could get my hands on, I was learning.
What's your favorite style? What's your favorite style of playing?
My favorite style of playing is rock, classic rock.
Hmm.
That kind of stuff, and anything from, Deep Purple to Cream to ZZ Top and Aerosmith, on and on, you know, everything, Boston, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, you know,
So,
that's my favorite.
I know we didn't rehearse this, but are you going to be able to play Eruption at some point
Oh
during
my
the show?
gosh. Yeah, I could sort of hack away at it. Yeah.
Because this isn't live, so we can stop it, and
Oh, okay.
you can get all set up. You can get set up, but I have to have you play that, man.
Oh no, I got my amp sitting right here. So.
You
I
sleep
do
with
sort
your
of-
amp, Steve.
Huh?
You carry your amp everywhere you go. No, I
But
definitely at some point towards the end I want to have you play it. So
okay. But you know, yeah, that would, you know, in other words, I have a lot of students that have tremendous ear, you know,
yeah,
and natural ability, but they don't really have the motivation or the fire to really get good at guitar.
hmm
You know, like if I show them the beginning to Spirit of Radio or something, they'll play it a couple times and they say, "Oh, that's pretty hard," and then they'll start doing something else. And then the next week I'll say, "Hey, did you ever go over that?" "No, not really." And you know, so, and it's just kind of, you know, it's my job to teach them that that's what it takes.
hmm
You know, you do need to practice it 500 times, but then after that, it's up to you. You know, I can't practice it for you, but I can show you what you need
yeah,
to do, and I can show you how to do it.
yeah.
And you have to take it home and do what you will with it, and try. You know, if you want to get really good at it, then you know what to do. You know, uh, so, and then I have other kids that, you know, like I said, don't have a lot of natural ability, but work so hard at it. And, you know, I'll think, they're really not going to be able to play, I don't think, as well as they want to. And then 10 years later, I'll see them on Facebook or they'll contact me and they're still playing all the time, playing in bands, you know, have these bands with all these great pictures and memories of all these bands they've played in and stuff. And, you know, they'll thank me so much. And, you know, I still play all the time, and sorry I was such a horrible student, and you know, I'll tell them, no, you weren't at all. You know, I never think that about any of my students. It's
You know,
funny.
one thing.
When I was 19, 18, teaching, I used to not like it. I used to think, what am I doing in here? I'm supposed to be out touring around and
Right.
playing. Instead, I'm sitting in this little room teaching this kid E chords. And I used to hate it. Now, and then later after I've done it and I've seen kids come back, I've had kids come back 20 years later and and pick back up again with families. I've had a lot of kids that play in bands, and, you know, just really still thank me 25, 30 years later.
You know, I
And
really
so,
was hoping that Seth would take up guitar seriously because he was talented.
yeah,
I remember you one time telling me, because I mean, one of my regrets with him was I didn't get him down to take lessons with you. We never got that far. But
yeah, too bad I didn't have like this kind of setup. We could have done it.
oh, I know, because he was so freaking good. He would sit in there with his. We bought him a white guitar, and his tongue would be out. You know, like a lot of people into their stuff, they don't realize their facial expressions are just grunting and
Yeah.
he'd be in there playing. Never took any lessons. I don't remember him taking any lessons, but he
I
was.
showed him like 3 or 4 Metallica songs, and he could play them right away.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
hoping he would. I would really hoping he would take that as a distraction. But that was about the age when he started getting into his drugs and alcohol and everything. And
yeah,
unfortunately, he sold his amp and his guitar for drugs. So you know that was the end of his music career. But
yeah,
again, I think that would have been a nice, healthy distraction from whatever stress he was going through to kind of let him down those roads. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, one of many,
yeah,
was the therapeutic element of music, Steve.
yeah,
I honestly tell you, my darkest moments after Seth died, music got me out of it, you know. And, you know, recently, someone I've really, really, really been drawn to, and you know this because I talked to you about this at our fishing trip, was Devin Townsend.
DT, yeah,
Man, and he's got a podcast out now, and I've listened to his podcast. I mean, talk about a real cerebral, deep thinker that's been through a lot of crap. I mean, Devin's been suicidal ideation. He's been institutionalized for a little bit for some mental health issues. He's been medicated, and he is just a frickin' savant. I mean, and I'd never heard of him. I'd never heard of him until about 2 years ago. Yeah. And I think I saw the Devin Townsend project on Liquid Metal on whatever it's called, XM Radio. And so I got on my computer and I looked, and Devin Townsend, who is this dude? Then I found Strapping Young Lads was his heavy metal band. And I saw the picture of him, with his, what they call it, the skullet. He was bald with his long hair. And now now he's bald, and he's just, I mean, he's a freaking rock star, man. I love the guy. As a matter of fact, he's another guy on Twitter that I've made comments and stuff, and he's actually,
I know,
I sent you a picture. And he is so just cerebral. I mean, his podcast is off the charts. It's awesome.
He back then in the Strapping Young Lad was way more thrash.
Oh yeah.
There's a video on YouTube, old, of him in that band playing at Pops, which is where I used to play countless hundreds of times in St. Louis venue. And with Kevin, and I mean, we played there just hundreds and hundreds of times. But there's a video of him playing. I'll have to send it to you. It's pretty amazing.
Do you know where he got? You know where he got kind of latched onto for his fame?
Well, Steve Vai.
Yeah, Steve Vai.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Singer in the Steve Vai project for a couple of years, and he was just off the hook, crazy. Well,
he was on drugs heavily, and he was drinking. And
some of those old YouTube or MTV videos, Steve Vai sitting there in the chair, and Devin Townsend leaping around in a bikini underwear off the stairs. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And so but he is not only one of the most incredible singers I've ever heard, but a great writer, great producer, great guitar player, outstanding guitar player, just brilliant talent. And he's such a, like you said, so cerebral that he scrapped that entire Devin Townsend project just like that, and just said, I'm moving on.
I mean, you should listen to his podcast. What he does is he goes through each album. It's like 14 hours. Each album is an hour. And he goes through progressively how he started each album. And I think his podcast is still live, although he doesn't have an album out. But he does have this project called The Puzzle. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. But it's a combination. I think he's even got a movie with it, like a cartoon thing with it. He keeps ratcheting up his. He never stops, and I don't know. He's one guy I've just at my stage in my life got attracted to. His music is great, but I just like his thinking. His podcasts are very, and we're on a lot of the similar thoughts about the big picture in life and why we're here and things like that. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Rush and the influence that Rush had on your life. And I have to tell you a funny story, because Roman is the talented one in my family. He's in the show choir, and he writes and he sings, and he's just very, very good. He's not good at one thing. He's good at a lot of things. And he never liked Rush. And I kept telling him, I said, dude, because he's really into Creedence Clearwater Revival and all the bands in the 70s, and Rolling Stones and Def Leppard and The Who, but he never liked Rush. And I said, Roman, you have to get into Rush. I go, the one person in my life that knows music more than anybody else is my brother Steve, and Rush is the one band, that is sets above everybody else, and I know that's true with you, and same with Scott. And Roman now loves Rush. We watched the Netflix documentary, and I think I texted you that night because I'd never seen it, and it was unbelievable. Yeah. It was unbelievable. Getty I didn't know Getty and Neil went to the same elementary school. Yeah, and their first gig was like at a basement in a church, like church ladies.
They're walking around.
It's just amazing. It's amazing. It is amazing. And then when Neil Peart tried out for him, he was working in his mechanic shop with his dad, like doing auto parts. Yeah. And they heard about Neil playing in this local band, and they called him in to try out. And then Getty says in his thing, we looked at Neil and thought, shit, this guy needs to go work on cars. He's not a drummer. And then, like you, in his audition, they said, that's it. We're done. This guy's a frickin' savant. Yeah. And he is, again, I'm sure you would agree, the greatest drummer ever to walk the planet.
Well, yeah, as far as, there's guys, that are arguably better drummers than
Yeah.
Neil, but there are none that I like better than Neil. So that's all that matters to
Yeah, that's a
me.
good answer.
He's my favorite.
And I didn't
There's
know,
guys.
Steve. Have you read this?
Well, no, I have not. I know about it, but I
Oh,
have not
it's
read it yet.
awesome.
Really need to.
Awesome. I never knew how, kind of like Devin Townsend, how Renaissance man he was and how many things Neil did that no one knows about. I didn't know he was published numerous books and was
Yep.
a bestseller.
Yep.
And Ghost Rider is just an absolutely phenomenal story. And I didn't know he lost his daughter at I think 19 in a car accident, and then his wife died of cancer like 2 or 3 years later.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. I think it was the Testa Echoes tour.
Mm-hmm.
Is that name of one of their bands or one of their albums? What's it called?
Test for Echo.
Yeah, I think that's when Neil said, "I need to get out of here," and he got on his BMW motorcycle
Yep.
and he drove 55,000 miles. I think it took a year, and then that's where this book comes from. Is basically his journey of just I've lost my daughter, I've lost my wife. What can I do so I don't join them? I want to join them eventually, but not now.
Yeah.
What did he have to do to stay alive? And the book is just an unbelievable story about his people he meets on his journey. And, at times it gets deep and at times it's funny, but what a great man he was. I mean, and people
Oh,
don't
yeah.
realize that. They just think of him as a drummer.
No, just a very, very kind, intelligent guy. I
And he
mean,
wrote all their lyrics, right?
oh, he wrote everything, all the lyrics and everything, and they're, to me, other than maybe Bernie Taupin, with Elton, the greatest ever in rock to me. Now other people would come up with lots of other alternatives.
You're
to
talking
that.
writing now?
Yeah, lyrics.
Your lyrics.
Yeah, I mean Neil's lyrics are just, there's over 20 albums, and I mean, gosh, I couldn't even possibly start, and how great they are. Same with Bernie Taupin with Elton. Their lyrics are just absolutely incredibly great. But Neil, it's so funny because I mean Tim and I, and when we would go see them, whenever they would come anywhere in Iowa, we would go and we would wait around in back of the auditoriums, and we'd wait until they'd come out, and we were always in front of the line before, so we would talk to like their road manager and stuff. So I knew Alex's real last name. I knew it was Yanovich because Hearns told me, their lighting director told me. He goes, "Don't
Oh,
ever."
wow.
And so we're standing out back, and of course they come out and they're going to their motorhome, and people are going, "Alex Getty, Alex Getty," and they're walking. I go, "Zubyanovich." And he looks at me, and he walks over to me and Tim, and hey, and kind of awkward, weird, and like, "Are you going to kill me now?" And so then they get on their motorhome, and so we would just get in Tim's car, and we would follow them out on the interstate
Oh,
for an
my.
hour on I-80 until they stopped, like in the Quad Cities or something, and go to a quick trip, and we would sit in the car. And pretty soon out would come, open the door, and out would come Neil in his little blue shorts, and out would come Alex and Getty and Hearns, and they'll go into the quick trip. Tim crawled out the back window or the side windows
And
into
you
her,
run into quick trip,
and
get a
we'd
Coke
run
or
in
something.
there. They would just laugh at us. All we could ever say to them was, "You guys are so great. You guys are so great." And so after like about 8 times, I never forget, Tim and I walk up to Getty, and he's like looking in like the Gatorade and the stuff, and he goes, "Let me guess, we're so great."
It reminds me of Wayne's World. Wayne's World. Like you guys
yeah.
are Garth and Wayne's World. You guys don't
Totally.
even know what to say.
Totally. That's all
How
we
many
could
times
ever
did you see Rush? 19?
About 19. And one time we're at the Five Seasons Center. Tim, his brother Pete, and I were standing in line right at the front of the line. And Pete taps us on the shoulder and he goes, "Look out front." We look out there and Neil is standing out there. And he's like looking around and he can't get in because he doesn't have his badge.
Oh my, no way.
Here's around the corner. So we told the guy, "Hey, we'll be back." So the 3 of us run out. We leave our place at the front of the line. And we go out to the arena and we see him like disappearing around the corner of the Five Seasons Center. So we run over there and we get over there and we see him disappearing around the back. So we go all the way around to the back where the trucks are, and he's kicking on the doors and he can't get in. and you can hear Alex and Getty in there playing like Closer to the Heart or something
No way.
on the doors. And we come up to him. You won't even believe this. Guess what Tim says.
I love you guys.
You guys are so great. And I go, Tim, okay.
You guys are so great.
He needs to get in.
Just
The
worst thing you could possibly say.
He did not want to talk to us at all.
Right.
And so we said, if you come around to the front, we will get you in.
So you told Neil, we'll get you in the Rush concert.
Tim and Bill Supple, I think, was with us. An attorney in Iowa City now. And so he's in Cedar Rapids. He's in Cedar Rapids now. Sorry.
Okay.
We walk around to the front with Neil, like trudging behind us angrily. And we come around to the front. And as soon as we come around the front, everybody just loses it. And he walks in. And we walk in with him, and we go, this is the drummer for the band that's in there. And the guy's like, oh, I'm sorry, he doesn't have his badge. And there's like 500 people going, Neil, oh my God, Neil. Like going crazy. And he's like standing like this. So the guy goes, finally, somebody let him through, and he walked through, and he went, thanks.
That's insane. That's insane. Do you
Yeah,
have any other stories? Do you have other stories? Well, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite Rush album? Have to pick one. You can't say, well, there's two. There's too many, Jeff.
Oh, my gosh.
I have mine.
Farewell to Kings. Farewell to Kings. I would say Caress of Steel because that's the first one.
Hemispheres for me.
Yeah, that's a great. That would be right there too.
Best song they've ever done. Mine's easy. La Via, man. La Via.
Yeah.
It's not even. There's that song, and then there's every other Rush song. For me.
Yeah.
That's just a sick song.
Yeah, I would say Xanadu for me. Just as far as like if I had to sit somebody down with a pair of headphones and say, here's Rush, that's the one I would play. Although La Via would be right there. And like I said, I remember the first night, Tim Looney and I driving around Solon looking for something to do, listening to KRNA, and on comes this classical guitar. And we're like driving around going, what's this? And we turn it up and we hear the little thing. And then all of a sudden we hear the little thing going. And wow, the drums are pretty cool. Sounds kind of like Neil, but it couldn't be. And then it starts going. And then all of a sudden it comes in and we're like, because we didn't know the new Rush was out.
Oh my
God. I vividly remember the first time I heard La Via. So I'm sure Tim does too,
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a little thing here now, but I had a couple things I wanted to ask you. So I did write down some questions for you, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. So,
okay. In
your opinion, the best rock guitarist: Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Angus Young, Slash, or Alex? Out of that group.
Oh. Best or my favorite?
I don't. You
pick. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. So read them again. Hendrix,
Eddie, Agnes, Slash, and Alex. Pick one. Pick one. You don't have to justify it. Just pick one.
Angus.
Okay. Best metal band: Judas, Maiden, Metallica, or Slayer?
Judas.
Thank you. Best rock band: AC/DC, Rush, Queen, Zeppelin, or Beatles?
AC/DC.
Wow. Best drummer: Neil. Best bassist: John Entwistle. Is that how you pronounce that? The Who?
Yes.
Flea, Getty, or Les Claypool?
Getty.
Wow. I thought Les would win that. Is Getty really regarded as that great a bassist?
You ask me.
Okay, well, I know. Okay. Last one. Best rock singer: Elton? Elton? No, that's metal. Halford's
Okay.
metal. You think Halford's the best out of Dickinson and those
Go
guys?
ahead. Proceed.
Elton, Freddie, Elvis, Steven Tyler, or Ozzy?
Read them one more time.
Freddie, Elvis, Elton, Steven Tyler, or Ozzy?
Of those, the best singer,
Yeah.
Freddie.
I thank you. That's what I would agree. All right, so as we're going to go into the wrap up
Oh,
of
you were going
this.
to ask me the metal singers. But you
Okay,
already-
best metal singer. You got King, Rob Halford, Dickinson,
Yeah.
and
Right, like Dio, you know.
yeah, there you go, Ronnie James Dio. God, I forgot about him. So
Yeah.
you got those four, who are the best metal singer.
Well, my favorite is Halford.
Okay,
To me, you know, I mean, Bruce is amazing.
Right.
But to me, Halford is just the epitome. I mean, I'll never forget, you know, seeing them, you know, way back.
that is
you know,
prime.
And oh my gosh, and you know, just yeah, and you know, just so effortless. You know, he doesn't put out a lot of. He doesn't try too hard. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
Halford.
Yeah, well, I would agree. He's kind of he's the metal god. That's what he is.
Yes. And that's my favorite Priest song too, probably. Yeah.
Metal god. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead. I could do this all night, man.
Oh my God.
Matter of fact, on our trip up Minnesota, we sit by the campfire. We play Stump the Steve. We just all randomly think of songs, and Steve just starts just ripping them right away. So, a couple months ago, I posted and you didn't even know this was going to happen, but you sent me something where you did "Eruption" by Eddie Van Halen, and I think was it right when Eddie had died? Was it a tribute to Eddie?
I think so, sort of. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the motivation was, why you picked it at that time. I think Eddie had.
I think maybe that's what it was, and I don't even remember who. I think I sent it to Dad.
Yeah.
I think I just sent it to Dad one night.
And you had no intention of me putting it on social
Uh-uh.
media.
No, and then next thing I know, you know,
And I put it on social media. It was just blowing up. You know, who is it? That's my brother. Yeah, whatever. He's not really playing that. Yes, he is. You know, and but man, when you watch Eddie play this song, and there's a video. I don't know what year it was. It was late '70s or something, and it was like he was like the equivalent of a guitar solo, but it wasn't just. He did a big lead in into that.
oh yeah,
And oh my, I mean, I'm like, that in itself was just as good as the beginning of Eruption, just the lead in.
Well, and what you have to understand is that Eruption itself was not planned out. I mean, the second part probably was, but the first part is all just him. He was just noodling around, and the guy happened to record it.
Huh. I didn't know that.
You know, yeah, the first part is all just like I said, the same way he does live. You know, the next night, if you went and saw him, it would be different yet.
I should have put Van Halen on my list. Duh. How many times did you see Van Halen?
Oh, well, just twice, I think. And actually, it's funny because the first time is when it just came out. And I literally almost quit music.
I remember you telling me this.
I was setting up with Tim Looney and the guys in Voyager at the Moody Blue in Iowa City, and it came over the speakers, Eruption and You Really Got Me. And I set my stuff down, and I went and I sat in a booth. And I just I was just completely shell-shocked. I mean, for real. You know, I was like, well, everything you've done to this point is moot. And him and the guys came over, what's the matter, man? What happened? I go, don't you hear that? It's over. It's over.
Why? Why do this anymore? It's a joke.
Yeah. But then I remember, gosh, Dad got me when I had my car, my old Duster. He got me these nice wood grain speakers, and he put them in the back for me, and he installed this cassette player. And I would sit out in the driveway, and Dad would sit out in the car with me. And we would put in Eruption and just turn it way up, and he would just sit there, and he would just go, that is just amazing.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. This was
Get
back
out in the
in
car with me and listen to that stuff.
high school. I would tell my friends, "My brother's a pretty good guitarist." So like, yeah. Then they'd come over to play basketball or something, and they'd see you play, and they're like, "Holy shit,
Yeah.
your brother is a good guitarist." Hey,
Yeah.
so before you get into your eruption here,
Sure.
what are you doing right now? I know, but the listeners don't know. What are you doing right now for
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah?
Good question.
Talk about Dogs of Society.
Mhm. Dogs of Society is the Elton John tribute band. That's an amazing group. We've had an amazing 7-year run, and it's gotten better every year until, of course, last year it nosedived like everything else on the planet. But I mean, we were playing big at times big arenas of 5,000 people, where we'd walk out and both bowls of the Family Arena in St. Louis are full.
That's
And
awesome.
I turned to our bass player Kurt and I said, "They do know we're not Elton John, right?" I mean, but in all kinds of traveling, and we just played down in outside of Austin, Texas, in March, and so we're gearing up for another good year. But that's a great band. We played in Marion 2 years ago.
I know it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was
and we
awesome.
will be back again next spring
Okay.
in next June.
So if people
Uh,
want to find you and your tour information, they can just go to Dogs of Society, right?
yeah, for that band, yeah. Facebook is just as good as anything.
What's your other
Uh,
band?
well, I'm doing that same group of people also has a Billy Joel tribute that's does
Oh,
very well also.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's real good, and we haven't we don't have as many shows as under our belt as the Dogs do.
Hmm.
Uh, and then also have been playing in a cover band here in St. Louis. That's a rock band called Paint the Earth.
For a long time, right?
And you actually have seen Paint the Earth
I
at
have. I've
Trainwreck.
seen him twice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff.
Just classic rock, fun, great guys. And at this point, it's more important to me to play with friends.
Oh yeah.
And I've filtered it down now to a group of people that I like to play with and want to play with, and that want me there,
Right.
and that we get along. There's no drama, and we are all everybody has been playing for a long time, and we all know what we're doing, and that's the way I like to keep it now. And so, and then I've played with a guy named Charles Glenn a lot, who kind of got famous singing for the St. Louis Blues national anthem the year they won
Oh
the
really?
Stanley Cup. Yeah, I played with him a lot. Great singer, amazing guy.
Roman's coming in here, and we're just setting up to have you play Eruption. So I was telling Steve about Rush, trying to brainwash you into Rush.
Well, no, there's no brainwashing. It's just great music. See the thing, the great. Here's the shame, is that back when this stuff came out, the album would come out. You'd go get the album. You had not heard it yet.
Right.
You'd go get the album. You'd sit down. You'd open it up.
Oh
all
yeah.
the lyrics are there.
Right.
And you'd put the album on, and there would be the first song, and you'd sit there and you'd look at while you're looking at the artwork, you'd be reading Neil's incredible lyrics.
Yep.
And it's so much more. I mean, there's, now a lot of my students can't make it through more than a minute of anything.
Isn't that true?
For real. I mean,
Yep.
no matter what it is, after about a verse and a chorus, they're out.
Yeah, and that's anything, Steve. They can't watch movies. They can't. They have to have their cell phone in one hand, their computer in their lap, and they can watch Netflix. And there's
everything is available like if a video gets boring, boom, you're on to another. And
Right.
so it was a lot different. When I was a kid, you'd put on the headphones and you'd sit there with the album and you'd listen to it 2 or 3 times.
Oh, I know. You actually had an appreciation, and the lyrics, you got to read them all, and it was
Neil's
awesome.
lyrics are, just like Bernie Taupin's are the
Yeah.
best.
Right.
I think Bernie Taupin's are just incredible lyrics.
I'll have to check him out.
forever.
I'm not familiar with him, but
That's Elton John's lyricist.
oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I assumed you knew who he was, but yeah.
Well,
No, he wrote all the Rocket Man, every lyric of every Elton song.
wow, I didn't know that.
No, he would bring him in the lyrics, and he would give them to Elton, and Elton would sit down and just bang out a song.
Did I tell you I bought tickets for Christmas
Yes.
to go see Elton? I got
Yeah.
4 tickets in Des Moines. It's actually 2022. I just hope he lives that long. So,
Oh yeah,
He should.
Well,
He should.
what's funny is I showed Christy your post, of you guys having the
Yeah.
tickets and stuff. So she goes upstairs. She's up there for about a half hour, and she comes down and she goes, "So here's where we're going to be sitting." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You mean for the live when they play it in our living room?" She goes, "No." So we have two tickets.
Oh, you did for the Des Moines one too?
No, it's for St. Louis.
Oh, okay. I mean, you have
tour.
to. You have to, man. I mean,
I it's going to be great. Well, and another bucket list for me last 2 summers ago was seeing the Who.
yeah, are they still playing?
That was very emotional for me because they were probably one of my top 3 influences of all.
How many original members are still in the band?
Well, it was 3. I mean, 2. It was Pete and Roger.
Wow.
John Entwistle's dead, and they had a great bass player, and then they had
And
Ringo
the drummer.
Starr's son, Zach Starkey playing drums, Ringo's son.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Oh, by the way, we saw Ringo Starr All-Star Band. That was awesome.
Yeah.
They had Colin Hay. Colin Hay was there. Santana's keyboardist. Toto's lead singer, and they had who was the really good guitarist? I sent you his name. What band was he in? He's a legendary guitarist.
Oh, Steve Lucas.
Yeah. And who did he play with? Toto. Okay, duh.
Toto.
Boy, he was. I mean, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It is cool to catch these older bands and stuff.
Oh well, I tell you, it was very, very emotional for me. I mean, I cried at many points during that concert, and Christy was like, "What does the matter with you?" I'm just like, "Don't you hear that? He wrote that."
Wow.
And I was weeping. Listening to parts of Tommy and stuff like
Pinball
that.
Wizard.
Well, not even just that too. I mean, but a lot of the other stuff that's just so, to me, is just the epitome of songwriting.
But you mentioned crying and stuff. It's like I got a little distracted with my ADD, which happens frequently. But will you take the dog with you? Thank Roman. So when after Seth died, how music kind of really saved me, and there's times when I needed to crank, Run to the Hills or Number of the Beast or Turbo Lover or whatever, and get me. And then there's times I needed something more dramatic, like Kingdom from Devin Townsend, or some song that just literally you have to you start crying. And if anyone saw you crying and you said, "I'm crying to Judas Priest," they'd say, "Well, you're insane," But it's like the music saves your soul sometimes. When you're the lowest point in your life, putting on music is the best drug.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's no question that it can kind of reach you at a level that you're not really prepared for.
Yeah, and you can't find it anywhere else.
No, and you can't control it either. You're just kind of swept up in the music, and you're not really sure always why.
And sometimes it's a singer, like Freddie or Elton, and sometimes it's a drummer. Or it's the lyrics, or it's just the chorus, or or it's the story behind the lead singer or the bassist, like Primus.
Exactly.
God, talk about a freakish Les Claypool. It's like I didn't know anything about Primus until like 7 years ago. I had heard of My Name Is Mud and stuff, but I didn't get into Primus the band until later. And then they came to Cedar Rapids here and played at the McGrath Amphitheater, and oh my God, I started listening to them more. They're so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's another one that a lot of people don't really identify with.
Primus.
Because the music is so different.
Bizarre, I guess, some of their stuff, but
Okay,
I think everyone's waiting to hear your rendition of "Eruption" by Eddie Van Halen. So I will sit back and watch you stumble through it.
Yeah. This song.
Do you need any pointers? Do you want any pointers, Steve? Like,
what?
Keep your elbow.
Knees locked.
Your knees need to be locked. So get your knees bent in, and then that left elbow, get it, going this angle like a.
Okay.
It's difficult to do, but yeah, get it up higher. Yeah, a little higher.
Okay.
And then your left wrist, you kind of pull it out a little further from the guitar. No, the other wrist.
Oh.
The other left. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, now that's how you should do it. That's perfect form. That's really good.
Huh. That's crazy.
It works. It does work. I read it somewhere on I saw it on YouTube.
All these years, I've never stumbled across that.
Well, that's how you give advice to Ian's golf. So I've seen you do that many times.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's.
I really wish I could get up there and play the tournament. The one time that the Billy Joel thing's got a gig on the 15th.
It's an odd year. I mean, with COVID, we're just happy to be doing anything.
It's literally the only show almost that I have the whole month of May, and it's that one weekend.
Well, career or family, Steve? What's more important?
Oh, boy.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, well, yeah, okay. Can you hear that?
You missed a D chord, I think, or a...
Yeah, it was the D in bar 31.
32, or was it 31? Yeah.
Yeah, 31. Towards the end, it was off.
We may be able to fix that through editing, so it's okay, not bad. How long did it take you to learn that?
Well, the funny thing is I never learned it. I never learned it. Never once sat down and actually learned the whole thing, ever, for 40 years. I just always would just wing it. Always. And at some point, I would go into this thing, that thing. But other than that, never, until about when he died. And I had to do a tribute concert thing down at BB's Club in St. Louis, a Van Halen tribute at the end. So I had to play. They wanted me to play it. So I had to actually sit down and actually learn it.
Yeah, because I'm sure the people that follow that are probably listening for one mistake, one thing you do differently, like unique to you,
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. We didn't plan for that, so I'm not sure how good the playback audio will be. Obviously, it's not going to be like in your recording studio, but
well, no, of course not.
So
Yeah.
do you have any? Do you have any? I know you give lessons on the internet. Is it mostly bluegrass, or what do you do all types
Oh
of
no,
lessons?
no. In fact, I don't.
Or maybe you don't do
Ironically,
it anymore.
I don't do any live bluegrass lessons ever. The ones that I did were online through onlinelessonsvideo.com, onlinelessonvideos.com. And if you YouTube my name, type in YouTube Steve Johnston guitar, there's about 50 bluegrass and acoustic, not just bluegrass, but acoustic lessons that come on. But all of my lessons that I do currently live are just, anything from, any style of music that whatever people want to do.
It's interesting because you're the last brother to have on. So I had Scott on first, and we had an afterlife show because Scott's really big into the ghost hunting.
Yeah,
and then Dan was on, and he's actually going to be, I think he runs in a couple weeks. We already taped it. And we did fishing and his, how fishing has been very a good release for people, And I equate even to Scott's passion with, the ghost hunting thing, the paranormal. That's like a release for people. Well, now you have music. So you have music now added to the fray. It's like, it's pretty interesting, the diversity in our family. If you look at just the four brothers, and we're just so different, yet when it comes to humor and pulling pranks on each other, we're all very twisted that way.
The same, exactly the same, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is one thing. That,
you love fishing too, Steve. Fishing.
That's what I was going to say is, if I had to pick,
right,
it would be hard. I'd have to think about it for about 2 minutes, real hard.
I know you can fish with Dan just as long as he can.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing I love any more than fishing and
bass fishing, right?
Yeah, mostly, and muskie and hybrid white bass and stuff like that. But we go all the time, and Dad and Dan taught me everything I know about it.
Interesting.
Dad used to go out all the time, McBride and the reservoir, and all of us. We all used to go up in Minnesota. The four of us would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and take a boat. Four of us out in a boat, you and me and Scott and Dan.
I know we're going up this year to Minnesota again. Oh wait a minute, you're not going. God, memories. Sometimes there's certain memories you can't get back, Steve.
What did somebody tell me that I wasn't invited?
And don't you have a gig or something? I thought you had a concert or something.
No.
Oh.
Huh.
Well, we'll move the trip so you can't go, I guess so.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. You got me
just
bad.
Stay away from my son golf tips. And by the way, we do have the clip with you and Kevin at Blueberry Pines. And I think I may have to splice that in here at the end, showing the listeners why you made the right decision picking music over golf.
And the horrible thing is, I'm the one that sent you the clip.
Well, that was your first mistake because, I now can send it viral everywhere. But yeah, so you made the right choice, Steve. Very good choice. But hey, I'm going to wrap this up. This has been fun and enjoyed it very much. And thanks for sharing a little bit about your love for music. And it's nice to talk a little bit about the past a little bit because I tend to forget about Voyager and Abraham Rush. And, I've seen the pictures. You guys had the big afros and, you look just like you would expect a 70s, hippie rock star,
Yeah, and there's a lot of other bands in between that too, but it's been awesome. Been a great.
So you live in Edwardsville, right?
I do. Yeah, I mean we're St. Louis metro area. We're 30 minutes from the Arch.
Okay, and you play pretty regularly still down there in a couple different.
Well,
bands.
yeah, we played all the time until last year, and now things are starting to flow back up again. So, like I said, we're playing May 15th with the Billy Joel tribute, and then things kick back up.
Well, thanks for being on the show, brother. Keep living Undeterred and keep jamming. So and work on that solo. It's just I think you can do a little bit better than that.
Well, I wasn't prepared. That's an anchor.
Oh,
sorry.
Hey, Spinal Tap's the best documentary of music ever, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I forgot how damn awesome that movie is.
My nickname here in St. Louis is Nigel.
No
From
way.
most people call me Nige more than Steve.
I mean, people
Just
watching this
because,
that haven't seen Spinal Tap, once you watch this, go watch Spinal Tap, and you'll see,
yeah.
that is just and you said it's very true to what the
Oh,
industry
it's
was back then.
a band movie, and yeah. The funny part about it is, I mean, they asked Steven Tyler from Aerosmith what he thought about it, and he said, "That's not funny at all. That's that's every day."
Oh my, that's awesome. Well, hey, listen, man. Well, thanks for being on the show, and we'll
right.
talk to you soon, brother.
All right, see you, Jeffy.
See ya.